Welcome back to the deep end of the purple ocean where fantasy collides with the cold, hard reality of South Korea's most elite circle, because today we aren't just talking about holding hands or cute dates. We are cracking the vault to the most guarded fortress in the entertainment world, which is the families of BTS. Have you ever seriously stared at your reflection and asked yourself, do I actually have what it takes to sit at their dinner table without trembling? It sounds like a perfect fairy tale, right? But hold on tight, because the reality of becoming the daughter to the seven kings of K-pop is a narrative filled with intense pressure, staggering cultural expectations, and specific, non-negotiable criteria that go far beyond just being pretty or kind. We are talking about entering a dynasty, because these men aren't just idols anymore. They are national treasures. And their parents are the ultimate gatekeepers who have watched their sons sacrifice their youths for success. From the intellectual demands of a scholarly family to the sheer resilience needed to withstand a global spotlight, the requirements are as diverse as the members themselves. What does the Chun family really look for in a partner for their golden son? What kind of high-level sophistication demands the attention of the Kim clan? Is it culinary mastery, emotional stoicism, or perhaps an intellect that rivals a philosopher? We have analyzed years of interviews, subtle hints dropped in variety shows, and the Confucian values that still govern their households to bring you the ultimate guide. This is not a drill, and this is not fan fiction. This is a survival guide for the heart, based on cultural facts and psychological profiles. Are you ready to face the truth? Can you handle the weight of the crown? Buckle up, because we are about to count down the specific, absolute conditions to win over the families of the biggest boy band in history.
Number 7. J-Hope, the literary legacy, the anchor of the Gwangju Sun. We kick off this intense countdown by traveling straight to the artistic and historical heart of Gwangju to unravel the absolute requirement for entering the household of BTS's dance leader and eternal sunshine Young Hoseok, because behind that blinding smile and the chaotic energy of J-Hope lies the deeply serious and meticulous soul of Young. Hoseok and his family requires a partner who is not just a lover, but a stabilizing anchor amidst the storm of global fame. You might think being J-Hope's wife means endless parties and fun, but you have to understand the pedigree here, because his father is not just any parent. He is a respected literature teacher, giving the family a foundation rooted in academia, discipline, and profound respect for manners, which means the first absolute condition to become the daughter-in-law of the Young family is possessing an intellectual elegance and unwavering emotional resilience that can match the duality of his existence. Imagine sitting at a dinner table where the conversation isn't about celebrity gossip, but about life values, propriety, and the weight of one's actions, because growing up with a father in education means Hoseok was raised with a strict moral compass and a specific standard of etiquette that is non-negotiable. The woman who stands beside him cannot be flighty or overly dependent. She must be a woman of substance who understands the importance of faith and tradition while navigating the modern pressures of his lifestyle. We have to look at the psychological profile of Hoseok himself. He is known among the members as the most professional, the one who keeps everything organized, and the one who scolds them when things get messy, which implies that his parents raised him in an environment that prioritized order and cleanliness. So if you are someone who leaves dishes in the sink or lives in chaos, you are immediately disqualified from this lineage. The Young family dynamic is incredibly close-knit, especially with his sister Jiwoo, who is a successful business mogul in her own right. So the prospective bride isn't just marrying Hoseok, she is entering a power dynamic where she must hold her own against a strong, successful sister-in-law and a mother who has nurtured a superstar. The sunshine persona is a job, but the man coming home is tired and carries the burden of keeping the group's morale high. So the family is looking for a recharger, someone who doesn't demand entertainment, but provides a sanctuary of silence and comfort. Think about the pressure of being the wife of the Golden Hyun, where you are expected to be the perfect hostess, the supportive partner, and the respectful daughter-in-law all at once, because in Jeolla province culture, where Gwangju is located, there is a subtle but powerful emphasis on food, hospitality, and the warmth of the home. Can you imagine the scrutiny? The ideal candidate must be able to discuss literature or current events with his father, while simultaneously having the street smarts to manage the public eye, which is a paradox that very few women can embody. This isn't about wearing expensive clothes, it is about having a spine of steel wrapped in velvet, because Hoseok has admitted in the past that he likes women who are thoughtful and care about the little things, which is a direct reflection of his mother's nurturing style. The family knows that the world wants a piece of J-Hope, so they will be the ultimate shield protecting young Hoseok. And the only way you get past that shield is if you prove that you value the human over the idol. They need to see that you can handle the dark side of the Jack-in-the-Box era, that you understand his anxieties without him having to speak them, and that you can stand tall next to a man who is essentially a cultural ambassador without losing your own identity. It is a terrifyingly high bar, because you are replacing his reliance on his parents and his members with reliance on you. And if you crack under the pressure, or if you lack the traditional manners to bow at the right angle and speak with the correct honorifics to his educator father, you will never make it past the front door. This is a test of maturity, a test of how well you can play the role of the supportive shadow while shining brightly in your own competence, because the young family doesn't need another celebrity, they need a matriarch in training who can safeguard the legacy of their son for the next 50 years. Number 6. Suga, the Daegu Iron Lady, the keeper of the genius, the silence of the sanctuary. We move deeper into the countdown, traveling southeast to the rugged and stoic atmosphere of Daegu to confront the intimidating reality of joining the Min clan, because becoming the wife of Min Yoongi is not a romance novel, it is a test of supreme independence and psychological endurance that would break the weak-hearted in a single day. You might see Suga as the cute gummy-smiled rapper or the savage producer, but his family knows the real Min Yoongi, the man who battled depression, social anxiety, and a shattered shoulder to climb from the bottom of the barrel to the top of the world. And because of this history, the absolute condition to enter this family is possessing a high-level independence and a profound understanding of silence. The Min family dynamic is famously grounded and pragmatic, largely shaped by a father who initially opposed his musical dreams not out of malice, but out of a desperate desire to protect his son from failure. So imagine the standards they have for the woman who will take over the role of his primary emotional anchor. They are not looking for a cheerleader or a fan, they are looking for a partner who is completely self-sufficient, because Yoongi's lifestyle involves locking himself in the genius lab for 72 hours straight without contact, and his parents know that a needy or insecure partner would destroy his creative process and his mental peace. Can you sit in a room with him for 5 hours without saying a word and still feel the connection? That is the question the Min parents would ask you with their eyes, because in their household affection isn't shown through grand gestures, but through quiet loyalty and the simple act of staying put when things get hard. We have to talk about the Min DNA, which is characterized by its sundeer nature, cold on the outside but warm on the inside. And to survive in this family, you need to be able to decode that language without getting offended. So if his father says something blunt about your cooking, you need the wit and tough skin to laugh it off or banter back, rather than crying in the bathroom. This is about matching the energy of a family that values hard work and results above all else. Remember that his brother Min Gmg is a central figure in his life, and the family operates as a fortress of solitude around Yoongi, protecting him from the vultures of the industry. So the daughter-in-law must be a vault of secrets, someone who can listen to the raw, unfiltered pain of his struggles and never let a whisper escape to the outside world. It demands a maturity that goes beyond age, because you are marrying a man who has lived 1,000 lives in his 30-something years, and his parents, who have watched him suffer physically and mentally, will be ruthlessly protective against anyone they perceive as drama. They want a woman who is low maintenance emotionally but high value intellectually, a woman who can handle the finances, the household, and the decisions while he is away on tour, without calling him every 5 minutes in a panic. Think about the Daegu dialect and the culture there, which is often described as blunt and manly. So the ideal daughter-in-law is someone with gang or guts, someone who isn't afraid of his fame and sees Min Yoongi, the human who likes tangerines, and Basketball, not Suga, the global icon. The family needs to know that when the lights go out and the applause stops, you will be the one person who doesn't ask him for more, but instead offers him a place to rest his head. It is a heavy burden to love a genius, because you have to share him with the world, and his music often comes first, so the men. Family requires a woman who is secure enough in herself to not compete with his passion, but to facilitate it. If you can't handle the solitude, if you need constant verbal validation, or if you are intimidated by a father-in-law who speaks in facts rather than feelings, you will be filtered out before you even take off your shoes at the entrance. This is the ultimate challenge of finding a woman who is soft enough to comfort him, but tough enough to stand beside the king of Daegu without crumbling under the weight of his crown. Number 5. Jimin, the guardian of the angel, the Busan eldest daughter-in-law, the master of emotional intelligence. We have arrived at the halfway mark of this high-stakes countdown, and we are landing right in the coastal city of Busan to dissect the terrifyingly high standards of the Park family, because marrying Park Jimin is not just about winning the heart of the global lit boy, it is about stepping into the role of the primary caretaker for K-pop's most perfectionist soul. You might look at Jimin and see the cute monkey, or the graceful dancer who defies gravity, but his family sees the eldest son, the Jangnam, who carries the weight of the family name on his slender shoulders, and because of this, the absolute condition to enter this household is possessing supreme emotional intelligence and the instinct of a healer. We have to talk about the magnet factor, because Jimin's father is not just a parent, he is a savvy business owner who runs a famous cafe frequented by thousands of fans from around the globe, which means the Park family is public-facing in a way the others are not. Mr. Park interacts with the fandom daily. He sees the obsession, he sees the tears, and he knows exactly what celebrity does to people, so the woman he approves of for his beloved son must be someone who can distinguish the man from the myth with surgical precision. Imagine the pressure of being the daughter-in-law in a family that is known for its incredible kindness and philanthropy, because the Park family is famous for donating to education and helping the community, which sets a moral standard for you that is stratospheric. You cannot be selfish, you cannot be arrogant, and you certainly cannot be rude, because you represent the angel of BTS. But let's dig deeper into the psychological requirement here, because Jimin is known to be the member who is the hardest on himself, the one who practices until he collapses, and the one who starves himself for the perfect aesthetic. His parents have watched this self-destructive perfectionism for years, and it breaks their hearts, which is why they are desperately searching for a partner who can save Jimin from himself. They need a woman who has the authority to tell him stop when he wants to push harder, someone who can force him to eat a full meal without guilt, and someone who provides a soft landing place when his own expectations crush him. This is where the Busan man dynamic gets interesting, because while Jimin is soft, he has that underlying Busan masculine pride that wants to take care of everyone else, so the ideal wife must be wise enough to let him feel like the protector while secretly being the pillar that holds him up. It is a delicate dance of power where you must be his biggest cheerleader, but also his strictest nurse. Think about his relationship with his younger brother Jihin. They are incredibly close, and the family unit is tight, so you aren't just dating Jimin, you are auditioning to be the third child in a family that values affection and communication above everything else. If you are cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable, you will suffocate in the Park household, because they thrive on warmth and expression. The family needs to know if you can handle the serendipity and the lie, meaning can you handle the duality of his public adoration versus his private insecurities. Jimin is an empath who absorbs the emotions of everyone around him, which is exhausting, so his wife must be an emotional filter, a sanctuary of positivity, who doesn't add drama to his life, but dissolves it. Can you imagine the scrutiny of his father, who has likely developed a sixth sense for fake people? After years of managing his son's affairs, he will look into your eyes and know instantly if you are there for the fame or for the heart of his son. The requirement here is also about social grace, because as the wife of Park Jimin, you will be expected to navigate high society events, art galleries, and family gatherings with the elegance of a swan. You must be charming enough to be his plus one at global events, but humble enough to pour tea for his relatives in Busan during Chuseok. It is a role that demands the patience of a saint and the heart of a mother, because, let's be real, Jimin needs to be babied in the privacy of his home. He needs the cuddles and the reassurance that he is enough just as he is. If you are someone who prioritizes your career over the relationship, or if you lack the maternal instinct to nurture a sensitive soul, you are simply not the one. The Park family is looking for a woman who is essentially a human vitamin, someone whose mere presence brightens the room and lifts the heavy fog of depression. that often plagues artists. This is the ultimate test of character, because to marry the man who gives so much love to the world, you must have an infinite reservoir of love to give back to him, ensuring that when the curtain falls, the angel has a safe place to rest his wings without fear of judgment or rejection. Number 4. The Empress of Intellect, the curator of the soul, the diplomatic partner. We have arrived at the cerebral cortex of BTS, the absolute center of gravity for the group, and we are stepping into the sophisticated world of the Kim family in Ilsan to uncover the most intimidating requirement of them all, which is intellectual parity and cultural depth, because marrying Kim Namjoon is not just marrying a rapper, it is marrying a philosopher, a poet, and a global ambassador, which means his family is looking for a woman who is essentially a match for his genius IQ of 148. You have to understand the pedigree of this household, because Namjoon's father is a high-ranking employee at SK Telecom and his mother is a savvy real estate investor, which means he was raised in an upper-middle-class environment where academic excellence wasn't just encouraged, it was the air they breathed. So the absolute condition to become the daughter-in-law of this powerhouse family is the ability to stimulate his mind and stand as his equal in every conversation. Imagine the terror of the first family dinner, where the topic isn't the weather, but perhaps the existential themes in a Haruki Murakami novel or the brushwork of a contemporary Korean artist. And if you cannot keep up, if you cannot offer a perspective that challenges and intrigues him, his parents will politely but firmly close the gates. The Kim family knows that Namjoon is a man who lives in his head, a man who carries the burden of leading 6 other men and millions of fans, so they are not looking for a fangirl or someone who puts him on a pedestal. They are desperate for a woman who can ground him with wisdom and wit. We have to talk about the museum date test, because it is real and it is rigorous. Namjoon spends his free time wandering art galleries, seeking silence and meaning in his parents know that his life partner must share this reverence for culture, not just tolerate it, but actively participate in it. So if you are bored by history or art, you are fundamentally incompatible with the soul of this family. The ideal candidate is someone who has her own strong identity, her own career, and her own passions, because Namjoon has explicitly stated he likes a woman who looks good in casual clothes but is sexy in her brain, a woman who can discuss geopolitical issues one minute and the beauty of nature the next. Think about the pressure of being the first lady of BTS, because that is essentially the role you are auditioning for. When he has to write a speech for the White House or navigate a PR crisis, he needs a wife who can offer sound counsel, not just emotional comfort. The Kim parents are looking for maturity that rivals that of a diplomat, because their son is often clumsy in daily life, the famous god of destruction. So while he breaks things physically, he needs a partner who is unbroken mentally, someone who can laugh at his clumsiness without belittling him, while handling the logistics of their life with the precision of a CEO. This is a family that values privacy and dignity above all else, so any sign of attention-seeking behavior or shallowness is a deal breaker. You must be able to blend into the background at an art auction, yet shine with elegance when the camera turns to you. It is a paradoxical requirement of being invisible yet impactful. The Kim family wants to know, can you handle the silence? Namjoon is an introspective introvert who recharges in solitude, and a needy partner who demands constant attention would drain him dry. So his parents are looking for a woman who is comfortable in her own skin, who can sit in the same room, reading a book for hours without speaking, and feel a profound connection. It is about soul resonance. Furthermore, consider the physical and social expectations, because Namjoon loves nature. Namjooning is a verb for a reason, and the daughter-in-law must be willing to trade high heels for sneakers, to hike up a mountain just to see a temple or a tree, because that is where his spirit lives. The family is protective of his human side, the side that isn't the leader, but just Namjoon, the 20-something guy who loves crabs and bonsai trees. So you must be the guardian of that innocence. If you are caught up in the glamour of the industry, you will miss the point of who he is. This is the hardest test, because it requires you to be smart, but humble, strong, but gentle, and worldly, but grounded. You are not just marrying a man, you are marrying a legacy of thought and leadership, and the Kim family will only hand over the keys to his heart to a woman who proves she can be the curator of his soul and the anchor for his drifting mind in the chaotic sea of fame. Number 3. V. The Jiachang Matriarch, the queen of the nursery, the soulmate of the free spirit. We have entered the sacred territory of the top three, and we are driving straight into the heart of Daegu and Jiachang to unravel the deeply emotional and traditional requirement for entering the family of Kim Taehyung. Because behind the Gucci suits and the celestial visuals of V lies a man who is fundamentally a country boy at heart, and his family requires a partner who can seamlessly blend the glamour of his current life with the rustic humility of his origins. You might think being V's wife is about attending fashion weeks in Paris or listening to jazz in a penthouse, but you have to understand the core of his existence, which is shaped by his grandmother, who raised him for 14 years, and his father, who is his absolute hero. The absolute condition to become the daughter-in-law of this affectionate household is possessing a maternal super instinct and a pure-hearted devotion to family values that borders on the sacred. We are talking about a man who has repeatedly said, "I want to be like my father." A man who dreams of a future where he walks with his children to feed pigeons in the park. So the woman who enters this family must be ready to be a mother first and a celebrity wife second. Imagine the psychological profile of Taehyung. He is a unique soul, often described as 4D or alien in the past. But in reality, he is just incredibly pure and observant, so his parents, who know how sensitive and easily hurt he can be, are looking for a protector of his innocence. They need a woman who is not quick to judge, a woman who can understand his Tata language and his sudden mood shifts without getting frustrated. The Kim family dynamic is incredibly warm, playful, and communicative. They talk every day. They say "I love you" openly, so if you are from a cold or distant family, you will be in culture shock. The ideal daughter-in-law must be the mood maker of the house, someone who can joke with his dad and cook with his mom, because in this family the in-laws are not distant relatives. They are your best friends. We have to address the children factor because it is the elephant in the room. Taehyung loves kids, he adores them, and his life goal is to have a big happy family. So the pressure on his wife to be a nurturing figure is immense. You aren't just marrying him, you are signing up to be the mother of his future dynasty, and his parents are looking for that specific glow. The kind of woman who looks beautiful not in a gala dress, but with a baby on her hip and flower on her face. Can you imagine the scrutiny of his father? A man who taught Taehyung how to be a gentleman, how to dress well, and how to treat others. He will be looking for a woman who respects his son not for his money, but for his kindness. The requirement is also about patience, because Taehyung is a free spirit who might want to go look at stars at 3 a.m. or paint for 5 hours straight, and a controlling or rigid partner would suffocate him. His family knows that he needs a soulmate, not a manager. They want someone who will encourage his artistic eccentricities, someone who will listen to his unreleased songs and give honest feedback with love. Think about the strawberry farm test. Are you willing to get your hands dirty? Are you willing to visit his relatives in the countryside, sit on the floor, and peel fruit for the elders for hours? If you think you are too good for that, if you turn up your nose at the rural lifestyle, you are instantly disqualified, because that is where his heart lives. The Kim family values politeness and character above status. They don't care if you are a chaebol heiress, if you are rude to a waiter or dismissive of a child. You are out. They need to see that you have a heart of gold similar to the grandmother who raised him, because ultimately they are looking for someone to fill the void of that unconditional love he received as a child. It is a terrifyingly high bar, because you have to be his lover, his best friend, his mother figure, and his muse, all wrapped in one. You must be the one person who makes him feel safe enough to take off the V mask and just be Kim Taehyung, the boy who loves hamburgers and cartoons. This is a test of your humanity, because the Kim family is looking for a woman who can promise them that no matter how cruel the world gets, their precious winter bear will always have a warm home to return to, a home built not on fame, but on the unbreakable bonds of family love. Number 2. Jin, the Gwakian royal standard, the keeper of the iron mask, the sophisticated homemaker. We have ascended to the rarefied air of the top 2, and we are traveling straight to the affluent city of Gwakian to confront the terrifyingly high and mysterious wall that surrounds the family of Kim Seokjin, because behind the windshield wiper laugh and the flying kisses lies the most guarded and potentially the most affluent background of all the members, and the absolute condition to enter this family is possessing an aristocratic grace and the wisdom of the silent partner. You have to understand that Jin's family is the ultimate enigma, often rumored to be connected to CEO fathers and Miss Korea mothers, and while these are rumors, the aura of the family screams old money values where privacy is the ultimate currency. So the first test you have to pass is the test of discretion. Can you live your life in the shadow? Jin has managed to keep his family almost entirely out of the spotlight for over a decade, which takes a calculated effort. His parents expect a daughter-in-law who values that privacy more than fame. If you are an influencer who posts everything on Instagram or someone who craves attention, you are immediately disqualified because the Kim family operates like a vault. But let's dig into the psychological profile of the math. Hyun dynamic because Jin has an older brother Kim, Seok Jung, who is a successful businessman, and the family operates with a sharp entrepreneurial mindset. The ideal wife for Jin isn't just a pretty face, she must be a woman of economic competence, someone who understands investments, business management, and the value of a dollar. Despite having millions of them, think about the pressure of marrying worldwide. Handsome, you are standing next to a man who is visually perfect, a man who checks his reflection in spoons and windows, so the aesthetic standard for his partner is undeniably high, not just in natural beauty, but in grooming style and self-presentation. You must look the part of a Cheongdam-dong daughter-in-law, elegant, polished, and timeless. However, the real challenge lies in understanding the duality of Kim Seok-jin. He is the fake matinee at home, meaning he is the youngest son who craves affection and acts cute for his parents, but he is the Taehyung of BTS, who carries the burden of protecting the younger ones. His wife must be the only person in the world who allows him to drop the Hyung act and just be the baby brother again. She needs to baby him, not in a childish way, but in a way that allows him to be vulnerable. Because Jin hides his stress behind humor. When he is laughing, he is often stressed, and the family needs a woman who is perceptive enough to see the tears behind the dad jokes. Can you imagine the dinner table conversation? It wouldn't be about pop music, it would likely be about real estate stocks and the quality of the food, because let's not forget the Eat Jin factor. Food is a love language in this family, and his mother likely takes immense pride in her cooking. So you better be able to navigate a kitchen, or at least appreciate the culinary arts with a connoisseur's palate. If you are a picky eater or someone who diets strictly, you might offend the core value of their hospitality. The Kim family is looking for a woman who has nunchi, the ability to read the room instantly. Jin is socially brilliant. He can charm anyone from elders to toddlers, and he needs a partner who is his social equal, a woman who can charm business associates at a golf club one day and play video games with him on the couch the next. The gaming aspect is crucial because it is his sanctuary. A nagging wife who tells him to get off the computer would be a disaster. They want a wife who grabs a controller and plays MapleStory with him, understanding that this is how he decompresses from the toxicity of the industry. Furthermore, consider the respect hierarchy. Jin places a massive emphasis on manners and hierarchy, likely instilled by his father. So a woman who is rude or too casual with elders would never make it past the first introduction. This is a family that likely holds traditional Korean values of filial piety very close to their hearts. They want a daughter-in-law who will visit them often, who will bring gifts, and who will treat them with the reverence due to the people who raised a global icon. The terrifying part of this rank is that Jin is the most realistic of the members. He separates work from life perfectly, which means he separates army from family perfectly. To cross that line, you have to prove that you are not a fan, but a partner who brings stability to his life. You must be the anchor that keeps the balloon from floating away. The Kim family is looking for a queen who doesn't need a crown, a woman who is secure enough to let him shine while she quietly runs the empire behind the scenes, ensuring that the moon always has a safe orbit to return to. This is the challenge of finding a woman who is as strong as she is soft and as smart as she is beautiful, because to marry the man who has everything, you must be the one thing money can't buy. A sanctuary of genuine, unpretentious love. Number 1. Jungkook, the muse of the maverick, the mirror of passion, the keeper of the golden bells. We have reached the ultimate destination, the number 1 spot on this list, and we are landing in the artistic and passionate streets of Myeongdong and Busan to confront the exhilarating and terrifying reality of entering the family of Jungkook. Because behind the tattoos, the piercings, and the global superstardom lies a man who is the product of an incredibly cool and modern parenting style, and an absolute condition to enter this household is possessing a limitless, authentic vibe and a symbiotic passion that rivals his own. You have to understand the unique DNA of the Jeong family, because his father is famous for being incredibly handsome and artistic, while his mother is known for her athletic ability and her proactive go-getter attitude. She is the one who chased his father, which means this family values boldness, charisma, and talent above tradition. The Jimin parents didn't raise Jungkook with strict academic pressure. His mother famously told him, "I don't care if you get a 0 on a test, but I will spank you if you cheat," which sets the moral baseline for the future daughter-in-law. Honesty is the only currency that matters. You can be clumsy, you can be bad at math, but if you are fake or manipulative, you are dead in the water. They are looking for a woman who is real with a capital R. But let's dive into the psychological profile of the golden magnate himself, because he is a sensory creature. He is sensitive to smells, sounds, and aesthetics. Remember, he is the laundry fairy who is obsessed with fabric softener, so the ideal wife must be a woman of impeccable hygiene and sensory elegance. You cannot be messy or smelly. You must smell like soap and fresh rain, because that is his comfort zone. The Jimin family dynamic is one of freedom and artistic expression. His brother is a talented artist, and Jungkook himself is a painter and director, so the daughter-in-law must have an artistic soul. You don't have to be Picasso, but you must have a passion that lights a fire in your eyes. Because Jungkook is attracted to people who are good at what they do. He wants a girl who can teach him things. Can you imagine the pressure? He is good at singing, dancing, boxing, cooking, filming, and painting. If you have no hobbies and no drive, you will bore him to death in a week. The family is looking for a partner in crime, someone who can wake up at 4 a.m. and say, "Let's go for a drive to the beach," or "Let's cook ramen," without complaining. Speaking of food, the Jimin chef factor is massive. He loves food. He has his own recipes like bulguri and makiksu. So the kitchen in the Jimin household is a playground. His parents would likely judge you not on your ability to cook a formal 12-course meal, but on your ability to enjoy food with gusto and perhaps bring your own creative twist to the table. We also have to talk about the bells, because Jungkook is a hopeless romantic who believes in the anime trope of hearing bells ring when he meets his soulmate. This puts a metaphysical pressure on the meeting. You have to have that spark, that inexplicable magnetic pull that convinces not just him, but his intuition-heavy mother that you are the one. The Jimin family is known to be young at heart. His dad once dressed up as Santa Claus just to convince him magic was real, so they want a daughter-in-law who is fun, playful, and doesn't take herself too seriously. If you are stiff, conservative, or hate video games, you will not fit in, because this is a house where gaming is a serious bonding activity. You need to be able to sit next to him on the couch battling in Overwatch for hours and holding your own. Furthermore, think about the BAM factor. Jungkook is a dog dad to a Doberman, and treating his dog like a child is a non-negotiable requirement. If you don't love animals, you don't love him. The terrifying part of being number one is that you aren't just getting past his parents. You are getting past the other 6 members who raised him. Jungkook is the baby, the matinee on top, and his Hyungs have spent 10 years protecting him from the world. You will undergo the most intense scrutiny, from Namjoon's wisdom to Yumi's silence to Jimin's protectiveness. The Jimin family relies on this village. The ideal candidate is someone who is independent enough to give him space, because he values his alone time, but present enough to be his anchor. He has said he likes a girl who has a nice body and is healthy, which reflects his own dedication to fitness, so you need to prioritize your health and physique, not for vanity, but to keep up with his lifestyle. This is a test of energy. Can you match the vibration of a supernova? The Jimin family doesn't want a trophy wife, they want a best friend for their son. They want someone who can laugh at his goofy TikTok, someone who can handle his sudden bursts of energy, and someone who loves him not for the golden title, but for the boy who just wants to be loved for who he is. It is the ultimate challenge, because you have to be perfect in your imperfections. You have to be the calm in his chaos and the fire in his passion. To become the daughter-in-law of the Jimin family is to accept that life will never be boring again, and that you are the chosen guardian of K-pop's most precious jewel.